Everybody, and welcome back to the Willy St. Willy channel once again. If I told you that a kid show where a polar bear, a cat, and a penguin gently teach 4-year-olds about jellyfish and sea cucumbers would get a infection horror AU, well, I wouldn't be too surprised considering that that's half of what I talk about here on this channel. Yes, the horror AU we're talking about today is about a British kid show called the Octonauts. This Octonauts creation horror AU was created by Randomhuman here on YouTube, and you might recognize him for also creating the Bluey the Unbroken horror AU, so feel free to go check out both of those on their channel. I'll leave a link in the description below as always. So far this series only has one entry, the pilot episode, but I'm going to do my best to break down the story beat for beat, go over my theories and analysis of what this horror AU could potentially build towards. So without further ado, let's get into it. The series opens onto something that seems to be completely normal for an Octonauts episode, with Peso, the medic of the crew, running a routine checkup on a patient, and he immediately notices that something's a little off. He goes to check the patient's ears, and, well, there aren't any. He's not injured, they're just gone, like he never had any ears. Which, I mean, he's also a clam, and I don't think clams have ears, so I don't know why this was a shocking thing to them. Right after that, though, Captain Barnacles tries to radio Shellington for a second opinion, and the whole communication system just goes dead. No warning, no explanation, it's just their tech stops working. That's when Barnacles notices a strange noise coming from a cave that no one else picks up on. He hears what sounds like his own name being called, and it's being called from his twin sister. No one else hears this, so being the captain, he goes off on his own to check a nearby cave. And when he shines his light into the cave, what he notices is something horrifying. Barnacles bolts back to the crew and tells them they need to leave immediately, and he just barely makes it back to their ship, the Gup, in time before the monster, his sister, catches them. But just when they think they're safe inside the ship, his sister shows up crawling along the outside of the windows, tapping at the glass, trying to find a way in, while they're all trying to process what's happening. Now, Quasi, to his credit, keeps enough of his head to keep them moving and out of danger, but here's the detail that changes how I'm reading the whole AU right now, is that while they're regrouping and getting out of there, I noticed there's a physical tracker on the outside of their ship, as if someone had placed it there, besides maybe the monster, because the monster doesn't really seem to be all coherent and logical thinking that way, so maybe there's someone else, like a non-infected person, that's also trying to attack them. It's basically suggesting that someone actively planned this and that this isn't just some random zombie outbreak. After this, Barnacles passes out, and it's framed as stress, like not an injury. He wasn't bitten or scratched or anything. It's just the severe psychological toll it's being taken on him. And when he wakes up, Peso's there watching over him the whole time and gently reassures him that even if that really was a sister back there, the crew isn't going anywhere. But Dashi can tell Captain Barnacles isn't okay, so she heads out to go check on him by herself. And on her way, she spots a movement in the shadows. And before she can figure out what it is, a bird ambushes her. And we hear glass breaking, and the scene just cuts straight to black. After we assume Dashi to be killed or infected, we cut back to Tweak, working on repairing the Gup, and their monitor starts glitching out. We notice that it's the same exact kind of malfunction that Captain Barnacles had when he first heard the noise in the cave. Now, whether this is just a warning that infected are nearby or there's something else going on, I'm not really sure. We cut back over to Dashi. She's horrific looking now. Her whole body is stretched and her mouth and eyes are stuck wide open like she's a damn Poppy Playtime character, and she's lost control of all her limbs and face, and she's heading straight for Captain Barnacles' room.
Octonauts, to my room now!
Now, after the confrontation between Dashi and this bird character who approaches the captain, it's a little confusing as to why Barnacles is bleeding from his nose and ears, but I'm assuming it's almost like this psychic link or loud noise that's causing this physical pain, just like we saw him kind of experience when he first heard the noise coming from the cave. Because Dashi never landed a physical hit on him, and neither did the bird. But another thing I noticed is that it's pretty clear that the bird who ambushed Dashi was clearly after the captain the entire time, as he was the primary target. Now, as this is happening, Tweak's monitor lights back up and shows a huge object coming towards them fast. And apparently it's a giant squid that the crew calls Irving, and there's barely time to shout out a warning before it grabs the ship and tears off the exact section that Barnacles is in. Quasi bolts to the captain's room and cracks his head on the wall hard enough to make him bleed as the ship swerves to dodge the squid and just keeps going. Now, surprisingly, Quasi does manage to get to the door, but since the entire section of the captain's ship has been exposed and ripped open, Quasi accidentally pries open and breaks the watertight integrity seal of the ship, and a bunch of seawater comes pouring in and floods the rest of it. Now, when he comes to, he's staring at a massive silver ship that doesn't match anything the Octonauts operate. And I'm assuming this belongs to the bird, since he's the only other character that I could possibly have an explanation as to having their own ship. Now, Quasi manages to get aboard the silver ship and finds the captain's badge just laying on the ground. And while he's distracted staring at it, the red bird ambushes him from the shadows and injects him with some kind of device or strange liquid. And as Quasi tries to run, he starts to run out of air and tries to keep moving. But then the red bird presses a button on a remote and Quasi's body just stops obeying him, and he's gripping the edge of the ramp and just physically cannot let go of it, even when he's trying not to, almost like he's magnetized to it or something. Now, when the bird lets go of the remote, Quasi's body goes limp and he's left floating unconscious in the water while the bird escapes, with Captain Barnacles as his prisoner and Dashi along with what's basically now a weaponized asset for him. As far as we know, Dashi and Barnacle's sister is the only one who is infected. Now, luckily, Tweak manages to get to Quasi before he drowns and hauls him back inside of the ship, so apparently the rest of the ship wasn't flooded, or at least only part of the ship was. And once he's conscious enough to talk, he lays out basically everything he's figured out and everything we've witnessed. That their attacker is a red cardinal with the ability to seize control of a body once they've been ejected, and the one actual advantage the crew has is that all the Octonauts wear these blue tracking collars, meaning they can pinpoint exactly where Barnacles and Dashi are taken, which is a nearby island. Quasi wants to go in alone, and Tweak isn't having it. It points out that they're stronger as a pair, and the two of them suit up to go get their captain back, as we see Quasi and Tweak make landfall and start following the tracker signal. And there's actually a small lighter moment here where Quasi tries to ask a deer for directions and gets knocked into a tree for his trouble.
Yar, matey. Have you seen a polar bear and a dachshund around here?
But enough reindeer games, because then we quickly see the forest go fully evil and dark as rain starts pouring down, and we learn that the Cardinal has been tracking them the entire time they made landfall. Meanwhile, Tweak is such a klutz and slips in the rain and, in the fall, damages her tracking bracelet, the one piece of tech that's supposed to keep her connected to the rest of the crew. This will definitely not come back to haunt her later. She then spots the transformed deer watching her from the tree line, and it starts hunting her the second she's seen. She runs, and no matter how far or how fast, it stays exactly on her trail. until eventually she reaches the shore and nothing is ahead of her but ocean, and she has to make a call right here, right now. Fight or flight. Stay here and face the deer, or jump into the water and try to swim. She then jumps, and honestly, that's the reasonable decision to make, because, I mean, she definitely cannot take this deer one-on-one. Apparently, this deer can't even swim, because it doesn't even make an attempt to try to follow her into the water. However, there's still another problem. Because her tracker is broken, she has no way left to warn Quasi or anyone else back on the ship of what all is going on. And there you have it, everyone. That is where the Octonauts creation Horror AU currently stands as today. Mid-chase, mid-cliffhanger. Now let's put everything together real quick. Now, the biggest open questions, I think, really are, one, who is this Cardinal and what does he really want? Why did he want Captain Barnacle so bad? Clearly, he didn't want to immediately kill him or infect him, as he's keeping them held hostage and interrogating him. And also, what's going to happen to Quasi? Because Quasi was injected with this strange virus or serum, this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle slime. We don't know what it is. Does that mean that Quasi is going to turn into a monster at any second whenever the Cardinal decides to do it? Like how is that even going to play out, really? Like it basically just means Tweak is the only one left on land anyway that can actually do anything. And also, every transformation we've seen so far, Bianca, Dashi, the deer, they all happen through direct injection. Like a physical, actual device did it. It wasn't like some airborne or, Trolls Infection AU, it's in the water type thing. This is some nefarious ne'er-do-well, some evil James Bond villain who is doing all this and orchestrating the whole thing. And finally, I want to just address that I like how this isn't over-the-top gore or just jump scares. It actually has a plot and story that it's trying to convey, even though it just labels itself like an infection AU. Maybe they just did that for the view so people will actually watch it, because I think this is very well done, and it's like a nice breath of fresh air for a lot of the infection AUs I've seen. I just think it hits just the right spot, where as the premise, as the childhood show it's trying to twist, but actually wants to tell something different and unique and cool about it. I just thought that was a really smart sense of horror within this already, oversaturated infection AU genre. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and stick with me to the end. Your support always means the world, and just in case I don't see you, stay safe and have a good one.